Former Senator Fred Thompson of Tennessee, I would like to see a show of hands. How many of you believe global climate change is a serious threat and caused by human activity?
I'm not doing hand shows today. Yeah.
No hand shows.
No
today.
hand shows today.
And so, is that yes or no for you? Do you believe that global climate change is a serious threat and caused by human activity?
Well, do you want to give me a minute to answer that?
No, I don't.
Well, then I'm not going to answer it.
Okay. Senator?
Our country has a $9 trillion debt. A good chunk of that is owned by China. We're bankrupting the next generation without any question. Every economist in Washington who's looked at it will tell you that. It affects our national security for one reason is because we're squeezing military spending. We're spending at below historic norms under these circumstances for our defense, and we're spending twice as much for entitlements. That's why I put out a specific Social Security plan that'll save Social Security while saving the government $4 trillion. It's all in entitlements. We've got to spend more for the military, as a matter of fact, but we've got to look at Social Security and Medicare and do some things now that won't hurt anybody badly, but will save it for the next generation.
Answer that. Are there programs or situations so important you'd be willing to run a deficit for them?
Yes, the military, the security of our people first and foremost, always. Our infrastructure, which is coming apart, and research and development, which is going to help us solve some of the problems in the future as far as energy and a lot of other issues. But I'm going to take a chance on telling the truth to the American people. Our entitlement programs, by 2040 or so, we're going to eat up our entire budget. Now, we'll go all day here, and nobody else will talk about that obvious problem that we've got to address. The thing about it is that we can do it now without hurting those programs, with actually strengthening those programs so that our kids and grandkids have. I don't think we as American people are so selfish that we're going to put this off the table, kick the can down the road, and let everybody else solve that problem, you know, when our grandkids get to be working age. That's not America. That's not what makes us strong. And specifically, as far as Medicare is concerned, we need to tell people that are in Warren Buffett's category, we're not going to take care of all your Medicare in the future. We can't afford it.
Senator Thompson?
Well, my goal is to get into Mitt Romney's situation where I don't have to worry about taxes anymore.
5% to get into your situation.
5%. Well, you know, you're getting to be a pretty good actor, actually. 5% of Americans pay over half the income taxes in this country. 40% of Americans pay no income taxes at all. I think we need to concentrate on preserving the tax cuts of 01 and 03. That's going to be a monumental battle that's going to be coming at the end of 2010.
What changes would you make to NAFTA?
Well, I think free trade and fair trade is the backbone of our economy. I think it's been just as good for us as it has Mexico. In fact, I think Mexico needs to think about that when they criticize us for trying to enforce our border. They export or send more people out of the country every year than we do in terms of illegal aliens. So it's been a good thing for both countries. It's a long, complex document. I have nothing in particular to point out. I just think we need to make a commitment to free and fair trade and enforce the agreements that we've got. The problem is too many people close their markets to us. They won't trade with us, but they want to place undue restrictions to our manufacturers and our farmers. We can't stand for that. The biggest obstacle, in my opinion, is the National Education Association, the NEA. And I read time and time again, every time someone wants to inject a little choice into the equation for the benefit of the kids, inject a little freedom, inject a little competition, because we're not exactly doing that well because of the things that you pointed out earlier, the NEA is there to oppose it and bring in millions and millions of dollars to go on television and work and scare people and misrepresent the situation on the ground. I think that just goes against everything that we know that can make progress in this country. We're a nation of freedom and innovation and choice. And well-to-do people are out in the suburbs. They don't seem to care that much. Inner city people need a chance to enjoy the choice that the mayor's talking about for colleges and universities. Other people have choice too. If they're wealthy enough to move into a neighborhood because they want their kid to go to school there, that's choice too. Let's give it to everybody else, and let's stop people from standing in the way of that.
Thank you. Senator Thompson, you've expressed doubts that the recent report on Iran's nuclear capabilities is accurate. As president, how would you decide when to disagree with available intelligence, and then what would you do?
Well, that's probably the most important questions that have been asked today. We have a real problem with our intelligence community. It, along with certain parts of our military, were neglected for a long, long time in this country, and we're paying the price for it now. The fact is that nobody has any real confidence in the result that they're getting. And the result you're talking about was directly contradicted by their strong beliefs just 2 years ago. So you've got to rebuild from the bottom up. I think that in the meantime, we have to rely on other people. The British are helpful to us. The Israelis sometimes are helpful to us.
Thank you.
In many respects, they have advancements that we don't have in terms of our intelligence capabilities. But the president cannot let a piece of paper by a bureaucrat solely determine what his actions must be. Well, it'd be for myself. Try to be a better man. Be strong. Have faith. Try to be a better husband and father. The least we can do is look at our social policies and not just be concerned about the consuming of what's before us in the short view, but what's best for the overall country, what's best for the future generations of this nation. And are we going to leave this place a better place than when we came into it? To me, that's real patriotism.
In your first year?
Well, it wouldn't take me a year. I'd go before the American people and tell them the truth and try to establish my credibility and tell them that we haven't come to terms yet with the nature of the threat that we're facing or what we're going to have to do to defend ourselves over the years. I'd tell them that if they didn't already know it, we're bankrupting the next generation and nobody even wants to talk about it, much less do anything about it. I'd tell them that judges are setting our social policy now in this country, and that's going to stop. And then I'd bring in members of Congress and say, look, I just got a mandate. We can work and cooperate together, or I'll go over your head to the American people. But the most important issue facing our country, and will be for a long time, is national security and the safety of our people. I've spent a lot of time, both in and out of government, traveling, talking to foreign leaders, dealing with these issues. I know the world we live in. I think I know what we need to do. I think that it's going to require strong leadership. And I would ask people to think one thing before they cast a vote. When our worst enemy is sitting down at the negotiating table thinking about what he can do to the United States of America, who do you want sitting on our side of the table representing you? That's probably the guy you ought to elect president.